Hi guys, welcome to an interesting video on Wild Rift. So today we have a pretty interesting one for you guys. Today we're going to be doing Kayle, who is, in most people's opinion, the best champion and the most broken champion on Wild Rift at the moment. Now personally, do I think she's broken? I think she might be leaning towards there, but I don't think she's completely broken because she has the best late game of the entire game. But she also has the worst early game of the entire game. There's literally nobody worse. Like, she can't even 1v1 tanks at early levels. So she has a horrible early game, but she has a incredibly good late game, and I think that does actually balance it out. And if teams are good enough and they can end the game early enough before you even reach where you're strong, basically you're a useless champion, something like a minion. Like, literally before level 5 you're like worse than a minion, honestly. But yeah, so she's in a really good spot now. I honestly believe that her best role is mid lane and not Baron lane, because mid lane you are a lot closer to your tower and therefore you can be a lot more safe. So I did get autofilled to mid and my team was first pick and Kayle was open. So I actually first time Kayle in ranked. So later the gameplay you guys will be seeing is me first timing Kayle in ranked. But anyways, we all know what Kayle does, as in the fact that she's powerful. So we're just gonna move into the practice tool to cover her skills and her leveling order. So as usual, we're first gonna cover her leveling order. So at level 1 you can take either E or Q. Generally I like to take E because it's easier to hit minions with it because you don't have to aim. Level 2 you take the one you didn't take at level 1 between E and Q. Level 3 of course you take your W. Then you will max Q first, take out when available of course. After you max E you max Q. And then, oops, forgot to take out there. And then of course you max your W last. So now we're actually going to reset level because we need that to explain her passive. So we're going to start off at level 1 here. I'm going to head over to our usual spot, taking E of course. At early levels, we'll cover this in the gameplay, but at early levels basically all you're doing is trying to CS anyway, so yeah. I'm not sure why I suddenly mentioned that, but yeah, so we're going to put an enemy dummy here. So at level 1 you start off with no range at all. So here when you attack, you will start stacking. Each stack you get below your mana bar will give you more attack speed. And when you reach maximum stacks like this, you will gain additional movement speed. It's not a lot, but it is something. So we're just going to let it run out and show you guys how the movement speed becomes a little bit lower. Barely noticeable, but a little bit lower. So that is what happens when she's at level 1. Now, when she reaches... I'm leveling up the wrong person. When she reaches level 5... that is where she gains range. So from being a melee champion, she becomes a ranged champion. So she gets a range of 525, and the passive of stacking the movement speed and stacking the attack speed and gaining the extra movement speed and max stacks is still there. And then you wait until you reach level 10. So at level 10, you will evolve again, and this time the difference is when you reach max stacks, aside from getting the movement speed and the attack speed, you will gain a AoE basic attack, and that AoE basic attack actually does the same damage as your E. What your E does we'll cover it later, but basically you do an AoE basic attack. Now probably for better demonstration we gotta set down a couple more target dummies behind this guy. So we're gonna be attacking our main man. And as you can see, the guys in the back do take damage from the wave as well. Now, when you reach level 15, it is pretty simple. When you reach level 15, basically, even when you have no stacks, you permanently get your ranged attack. So basically, the whole goal of Kayle is to hit level 15. But as you guys know, not in every match that is possible. So, yeah, you don't always reach that super huge power spike. So now, we're going to cover what her abilities does. And honestly, her abilities are incredibly simple. The first one is her Q. It is a skill shot. Basically, whoever she hits with it gets slowed, and also has their armor shredded by 15%. So this 15% armor shred remains at 15% at level 1 and level 15. So it doesn't scale with anything, it's just a 15% armor shred. Or not armor shred, armor and MR shred. So it shreds both defenses. So Kayle, in case it was not obvious yet, as you can see, does mixed damage. So she does both physical as well as magic damage. So you can build her both physical and magic, which we'll get into, of course, in the build section. So her Q like that, boom. It does do an AoE. So as you can see, I shredded both of these guys' defenses. So if you hit somebody, it does do a small explosion, and people around the area will get hit as well. So these two guys got their defenses shredded. As you can see, I'm doing significantly more damage to the front two guys compared to the guy whose defense wasn't shredded, this guy. So yeah, that's pretty much it for her Q. For her W, let me put an ally dummy. So what it does is, when you tap it, it gives you health as well as movement speed. So here I'm going to just go to the tower in order to show you guys how it gives you health. So I'm going to have to take a little bit of damage from the tower. So here, health and movement speed. Movement speed is noticeable. And it also heals the nearest ally. So here it heals that guy. Of course, the target dummy will obviously be at full health, so we can't really show how it heals, but it does. So her W, her E, is basically an auto attack enhancer. So basically, when you press it, you enhance your next auto attack with extra damage, and also there is a passive where you gain magic damage. So here, passive attacks deal bonus 35 magic damage. This is kind of where her mixed damage comes from. And when you activate it, it empowers your next attack to become ranged and deal bonus magic damage based off your target's missing health. Basically, in the late game, you do want to activate that as much as possible. In the early game, not so much. So something to take note of is when you're at level 1, or levels 1 to 4, when you are melee, that will make your attack range. We'll show that off later, but we're first going to cover her ultimate. So ultimate gives her 2.5 seconds of invulnerability before you do like an explosion and everybody around you takes damage. Now, something to note is that when you're in the animation, you cannot attack, but you can move. So here, I'm going to cast the animation, and you guys will see I'm going to try to tap my auto attack, but I will not be able to attack. So here, I can move, but I can't attack. So only after I land can I attack, and it does do quite a chunk of magic damage, although this is meant to be a safety tool and not meant to be for magic damage purposes. You can also cast it, wrong ability, you can also cast it on your ally. And same thing, when you're in that animation of casting on your ally, you cannot actually attack as well. So that is something you need to take note of. So if you're like in the thick of a fight and you need to attack and you want to cast it on your ally, you do need to take note that you cannot attack when you're in the animation. So now we're going to reset our level. I'll show you guys. Here, as you guys can see, I'm at level 1. I have to go all the way up here to attack, but if I level my E and I press it, you guys can see I can attack from here. After that, I have to go back to attacking in melee range. So that's the reason why your E is kind of useful at early levels to farm the CS, basically. So that's pretty much it for what Kayle does. Now we can actually move on to her build, her runes, as well as her spells. So into the Kayle build. So this is the build that I personally am going for. So as we know, Kayle's attack speed got a little bit nerfed in the previous patch, but even so, before that, you kind of do want to build Kayle with a lot of attack speed anyway. But I'll show you guys some variations in the build a little bit later on. So I like to start off with the Gnasher's Tooth. Gives Kayle all the things she wants: ability power, attack speed, and ability haste, as well as dealing bonus magic damage. Now this is the AP build, in case you guys didn't realize this is the AP build. They like to go for Wit's End, which isn't really an AP item, but it gives you 45% attack speed and 50 magic resist. Of course, the magic resist is going to be really helpful just against any team with magic defense. If they don't really have magic defense, you can consider not going for the Wit's End and instead going for something else, which we'll cover later. And your attacks will also heal when you're below 50% health, and deal bonus damage as well. So just really good in general. For the boots, You can actually go for defensive boots or gluttonous greaves depending, because you do actually have some lifesteal in this build, like from the Wit's End or from the Hunter Vampirism, but I do prefer gluttonous greaves most of the time. And for the enchant, pretty much in 99% of your matches you will go for stasis enchant, because you always need another safety tool because you're very squishy. And then you go for Rabadon's Death Cap to increase your AP by 40%. And then you go for Lichbane, which when you spam your spells, especially your E, you will get the Spell Blade from Lichbane a lot. So yeah. Then personally for me, as my last item, I like to go for Guardian Angel just for the revive. I know pretty much a majority of Kayle players do not go for GA at all, but this is just my personal build and I like the revive from the GA. So I become like a Xayah. I have the GA as my first safety tool, the Zhonya's as my second safety tool, and my ult as a third safety tool. And you're like the hardest carry in the entire game of Wild Rift in late game. So having 3 safety tools is huge. And even if you're low, you have lifesteal from here, you have lifesteal from here, you have lifesteal from here, and you can literally 1v5 a fight in the late game. It is very possible on Kayle. So that is it. And so the variations for the items is, actually there is a very good item that Kayle can build, which is the Hextech Gunblade, because Kayle scales with both AD and AP, all her spells skill with AD and AP. So Hextech Gunblade is actually an amazing item for Kayle. It gives her AD and AP, gives her Vamp in both areas, and of course the Vamp is going to be very useful, especially if you don't go for the Gluttonous Greaves, and you don't go for the Hunter Vampirism, which we'll get into why you may not want to go for Hunter Vampirism later on. But as you guys can see, she also gets the slow for chase down potential. When you get to late game, you will be chasing people down. In early game, people will be chasing you, and in late game, you will be chasing them. So this is normally a first item. So generally, if you don't go for the Wit's End, it's gonna look something like this. But the thing is that the attack speed from Nashor's Tooth early is kind of useful, but in reality, Kayle is pretty useless until you get at least your first 2 items, whatever those 2 items might be, whether it's Nashor's plus Wit's End or whether it's Gunblade plus Nashor's. It doesn't matter. So you generally go for this first because you're gonna be useless regardless of which one you go for first. Even if you do it like that, you're still gonna be very useless at the early levels. So you generally go for Gunblade first because the slow you get from its passive at least helps when you're running away, and that allows you to kind of kite people better or simply just slow them as you're running away. So this is like the alternative for the build in this area. Now, alternative for Guardian Angel is Banshee's Veil. I've seen a lot of kills going for Banshee's Veil because, of course, the Spell Shield will always be a very good option. So the Spell Shield will help you a lot if, you know, there's like hooks, like Thresh hooks, Blitzcrank hooks, or, you know, some skill you generally just want to avoid. That's going to be really useful. Crystalline Reflector is another option into a very high AD team. This could be very useful, but generally if you want to go for Crystalline Reflector, why not just go for the GA, is my thought process. So I do go for the GA when it comes to that, and I changed the wrong item. But anyways, back to the Magic Diamond. So now, a question that a lot of people have is why not build the Void Staff? Now, before I get into that, Morellonomicon is also a possible item if you need the Grievous Wounds. But honestly, in my opinion, Kayle does so much damage that she doesn't actually need the Morellonomicon. Now, question now is why don't you build Void Staff, or in the AD build, why don't you build Moral Reminder? Now, the reasoning is simple. Kayle does mix damage, and her mix damage is kind of nearly almost 50-50. It's not like Corki where he does like an 80-20. Kayle is maybe more like a 60-40 mix. She does a little bit more AP than AD damage, but her damage in terms of AD and AP are so equal that it's very hard to build defensively against a Kayle, because she does basically half damage. Even if you build like Magic Resist, her physical damage is still going to do a lot, and even if you build armor, she's still gonna do a lot of magic damage to you. And if you're a squishy target, you can't afford to build both, definitely. Now, another question is, how about tanks? What if tanks build both MR and armor against you? Is it worth it to get a Void Staff or a Moral Reminder? Now, the answer for that, in my opinion, is no. Why is it not worth it? Because the same logic also applies to you. If you get magic penetration, it only applies to half your damage, which is your AP damage. It doesn't apply to your AD damage. So if a tank is actually gone for both armor and magic resist, it isn't actually worth it for you to build the Void Staff or the Moral Reminder, because or the Serralda's Grudge, because it only penetrates for half of your attack. So basically on Kayle, the moral of the story is it isn't actually worth to build any form of penetration, so it's just not worth it. Anyway, this is my AP build. Now this is the crit build. So you start off with the Mana Mule. Now this will help your sustain a lot. Of course, in the AP build you can go for Sarah's, but that it kind of wastes an item slot. You don't really need it. Here, you go for the Mana Mule for the on hit after you evolve it to the Mirror Mana. Then you go for the Slurry Charge Blade, which of course gives you the attack speed and the 50% crit chance. Then you go for any crit attack speed item. This could be the Phantom Dancer, which is my favorite, or you could go for something like a Static Shiv or a Rapid Fire Cannon. But Phantom Dancer gives you the safety tool. It's pretty much the best option in my opinion. So we go for the Phantom Dancer. Then we go for IE, of course, to get 100% crit and increase our crit damage, by which point we're going to be destroying people. Then the GA for the safety, as mentioned, no moral reminder. And now we're going to get into her runes and her spells. We're going to cover this quickly because it's getting pretty long. For our runes, Conqueror, obviously, whether you go AD or AP, you are a auto attack focused champion, so stacking Conqueror is going to be very good for you and increase your damage by a ton. Now for here, second option, Domination, we actually have a number of options. So you of course don't want to take something like Champion because you're going to get destroyed. But my favorite option normally is Hunter Vampirism, just for the straight up the Vamp. The Vamp is going to be really useful. And the other two options are Gathering Storm, which I don't think you need because you already scale very, very well. But this will allow you to scale even harder, and some people like going for it. Lastly is Brutal. Now the logic for Brutal is your early game is already so horrible. So Brutal will help you out in the early game a little bit, but it doesn't really scale that well. So I like Hunter Vampirism personally, but I can see why people go for Brutal and Gathering Storm. Now for the second one, we actually have a very unique one, which we actually go for Adaptive Carapace. Now the whole reason for this is when you get, firstly you gain 50 health, secondly when you're below half health, you gain armor or MR based on what you took more damage of. Now this is going to help you in lane to simply not die. Now what scales better? Conditioning obviously scales better. Hunter Titan scales way better with the health and tenacity. Bone Plating is very good for anti-burst, but I personally almost always go for Adaptive Carapace. I say that and I've only played Kayle once in ranked, so I pretty much have only gone for Adaptive Carapace. But I think Adaptive Carapace is the way to go because you do need the extra armor and magic to simply just survive in lane. Obviously last slot, Sweet Tooth for extra sustain. In lane, pretty much the others aren't really options, and yeah, that's pretty much it. So for the spells, I actually like to go for Flash, and I actually like to go for Barrier. Now, I see some people going for Ignite, but I don't really get why, because you're not going to be killing anybody in the early game unless your team does all the work and you simply KS them. But Ignite isn't really going to help you that much because you aren't really going to even get anybody into Ignite range to kill. So, to me, doesn't really make sense. Then, some people take Exhaust, which I do think does make sense. And if your team doesn't have an Exhaust, you can consider the Exhaust, just to exhaust people who jump onto you. But the pretty much the easiest tool to use defensively is just the Barrier, so I always just go for the Barrier. Unless I do need Exhaust in that match. Exhaust is a pretty solid option, so yeah. That's it for the build, the runes, and the spells. Let's now jump into the gameplay. The video is getting pretty long. Alright, hi guys, so here we are back with the gameplay. So as usual, if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. So this, as you can see, is Kayle mid. As I mentioned in the intro of the video, I was autofilled to mid instead of ADC. And looks like the other 3 people aside from the support are actually trio because they all start with DC. But yeah, so Kayle was open, I had to pick Kayle. And yeah, so you will see in this video, I am pretty horrible at CSing on Kayle, especially in the early game. Here I was trying to go up to attack the minion, and instead Twisted Fate came up to harass me, which is of course what he should be doing, but I turned out to basically trade even with him, which I think is fine, because Twisted Fate isn't really the best auto attacker in the game as well, because he is more of a spellcaster, so that's fine. But yeah, so you will see some not too good Kayle gameplay, especially in the early game, because I don't really even know what kind of health the minion should be when I try to CS on Kayle. I do pick up like at least more than half the CS, I would say, but could have been a lot better. Could have been a lot better. Like here, I missed a CS there. I picked up 2 CS there. Not too bad, but here I missed another CS. Yeah, so really not the best in terms of CSing. I missed another CS there, but yeah. So now I will say that in this game I did follow the build that I recommended you guys, but in this build, before we get into that, Jarvan comes for a gank in the mid lane. Now I will say that if you're a jungler and you're ganking with Kayle, you should know that the chances of you getting a kill is very low. All you're really doing is kind of helping me relieve the pressure a little bit by harassing my lane opponent. But the chance of me and you getting a kill is very, very low, because kill does next to no damage. Like especially I'm not even level 5 yet. I don't even have range. I literally have to walk up to the face of Twisted Fate to attack him, and that's never gonna happen. So I won't be doing too much. So here a fight breaks out, and this is a very good example of a situation that you might find yourself in the early game as Kayle. So your team is coming to a fight, and do you rotate or not? Now, the thing is if you rotate, you're not going to be doing much, but you have a chance of getting some KSs. Now, it's really, doesn't sound very nice to say, but Kayle, pretty much that's all you're going to be doing. If you rotate to the fight, you'll be doing a little bit, but almost negligible damage. But you have a chance to KS people. If you stay in the lane, you will get guaranteed farm, and generally if your lane opponent has rotated, that person won't disturb you. So generally I would say majority of the time you want to actually just stay in lane and pick up the farm. You might get flamed by your team for not rotating, etc. But as a Kayle, you need to do what's best for you. Like if you're playing like a top lane Kayle and your team is going for a dragon fight, it sometimes, or a lot of the times, it's just better to simply just stay in the top lane and take the farm, take a tower plate if you can. And yeah, so here we hit level 5, and level 5 is our first huge, I wouldn't say power spike, but it really isn't even power spike. It's the first huge milestone in the Kayle journey of reaching level 15 and like 3 items or 4 items kind of deal. So first milestone, you're at least range, you can at least get CS a little bit more easily here. As you guys can see, I can CS a lot more easily with the ranged form of Kayle. Alright, so back to the initial discussion about the build. So in this game, I actually went for the build that I gave you guys, but instead of going for a Lich Bane, I actually went for a Void Staff, because as I said, this is me first time in Kayle. I never actually played Kayle before, and I didn't really know what her build was. Like, I didn't know you built Nash's Tooth and Wit's End for the attack speed, and you obviously built Death Cap. But I didn't know that you shouldn't be building Void Staff. Only after this game did I went to do my research and check up on all the top Kayle builds, and pretty much none of them built Void Staff. So I did build Void Staff in this game, and I will say that is a mistake. I could have got like even better damage and done even better if I built like a Lich Bane or another damage item, or even like a Banshee's Veil. Maybe it would even be better than a Void Staff. But I did go for the Void Staff this game, and I do want to point out that is a mistake, and that is not the right build. So yeah. So here I'm just slowly inching my way up the levels. Of course, you basically need to hit level 10 to be useful to your team. Like at level 5, you can at least get CS more easily. At level 10 is when you at least bring some form of value to your team. I would say level 10 plus with 2 items is when you're actually like useful and you're not completely useless. Before you reach level 10 and 2 items, you're pretty much useless. Here I'm being useless by attacking the clone, and pretty much since there's a fight here, I'm just trying to at least get an assist or get a kill if at all possible, but doesn't seem very likely. So since this is my first time playing Kayle, I don't really know how squishy she is. Like, I know she's really bad. Like here, look at this, I get caught and I get perma CC, I instantly get deleted even though I have my ult up, because I don't even have a chance to ult because I'm perma CC. Now honestly, if you ask me, I thought that I would survive it, because the moment I get out of the CC, I can ult and run away. But I just got perma CC'd, and Kayle is super duper squishy, as I have just found out. So the game starts off with me 0, 1, and 0. But we are a Kayle, so sometimes just playing a Kayle, even like the best kills, you will pick up like an early death or 2 before you get any kills or any assists. It's simply the nature of Kayle, because she is so weak in the early stages of the game, so it kind of is unavoidable sometimes. So here I kind of want to get a vision in the river because the herald is up. Here I get caught again and CC. This time I do have time to ult, and I flash over the wall to escape. So Wukong comes and blast codes over across me. I'm not too sure where he was headed, but yeah. So as you can see, majority of the time in the early stages of the game, you have to blow all your defensive tools on yourself. Like I flash, barriered, and ulted in that scenario, that's pretty much all of my safety tools down. There is also a debate of whether to use your ultimate on yourself or on your allies. Now, this really depends on how selfish or selfless of a player that you are, or how hard you think you can carry, or how good the other people are. But anyways, here, I'm level 8, so obviously I'm not very useful, but I am staying in the back line and just attacking them. Here they're on the run and we're chasing, so here I'm just attacking, and I do actually get a kill and 2 assists. So really good as a kill to of course get some kinds of kills and assists. And here I'm trolling by constantly resetting the crux and while trying to take them. But anyway, I get frustrated, I walk away. But yeah, so pretty much as any kind of kills and assists you can get is good, and it really depends on how selfish you are as a player. I do think that as Kayle, you do have to be selfish to a certain extent. Like, you do want to take as much CS as possible from any lanes, especially your own. And in your downtime, you do want to go and take jungle camps. Now, that will take camps away from your jungler, but you really need the gold and XP. Kayle is the most gold and XP dependent champion in the entire game. So, I really think in terms of farm, you do have to be selfish as Kayle, but when it comes to your ultimate, you can ult other people if you think that they are valuable to the team, and you do think that they bring a lot of it, especially someone like the ADC, or like if you're playing Kayle top lane, maybe the mid laner. I wouldn't ult like the support or like the tank, because I think that compared to ulting myself, it's not too worth to ult the support or the tank. Mostly I'll ult myself, but if I really need to, I might consider ulting the ADC or the mid laner. Of course, I am I would say that when I play Kayle, I'm relatively selfish, because I do know, and we all know actually, that Kayle is amazing and pretty much the best late game champion in the game. So if you save your ult for yourself, you get less deaths, and you get, you know, you're on the map more, you get more gold, more XP, whether be it from minions, monsters, kills, or assists, and you get to that late game faster. So that's why I wouldn't blame any Kayle for only ulting themselves, is what I'll say. If I have a Kayle on my team, I'm playing ADC majority of the time, and they don't ult me, I wouldn't necessarily blame them. I might be like, oh, the Kayle could have ulted me there, but I wouldn't necessarily be upset about it. So here, I quite a big lapse in judgment, I would say, because I don't really know how much damage Kayle does. So I'm like, maybe at this point, I can actually fight a low health Wukong and a low health Twisted Fate. But obviously, I'm very mistaken, and I cannot do any such thing. So I kind of messed up there, but you know, it's my first time playing Kayle. I really don't know her damage, and I really don't know how much damage she can take. So a little bit of a error there, and I haven't even reached level 10 yet. I'm only level 9, so basically a huge error over there, but you know, it is what it is. We're gonna move on, and here we're at 1, 2, and 4 at the moment. Not doing the best, but as I said, sometimes in the early game you do have to take, you do have to eat a couple of deaths, and you know, just generally just be very weak before you actually get strong in the late game. Now here, my team is getting routed in the dragon fight. Here I'm just trying to run away. Here I have to flash over the wall again so that I don't die to Renekton. If I don't flash the wall, Renekton can destroy me. So you get destroyed by anybody, honestly, and it even more so if they have solo kill potential. Like, let's not even talk about Renekton. Like, Thresh is a threat to kill me. So I have to be really cautious in this entire scenario. So here the enemy team takes the mid lane tower. Not too much we can do about it. Here I'm in a 1v1 versus the Twisted Fate, and I actually managed to ult there to save myself and then get the kill on him, which of course does help me a lot. So now here I am at level 10. I hit back, pick myself up the wits end, and here I'm really I've got to the point where I can be useful to my team. I'm not like broken at this point or anything yet, but I am at the point where I'm useful to my team. So generally you want to go for your first few items, then go for your Zhonya's after that, because if you go for Zhonya's earlier, you will delay the time it takes to reach your 2-item power spike. Here Wukong simply comes in, smites the Herald. We have not the best jungler, obviously, in the Jarvan. So here I'm just staying here and trying to kill whoever I can. Here very unlucky that I didn't get those 2 kills, and instead Nami got a double kill. Here I'm going to chase the Renekton because he's 1 HP. Here I get the kill on the Renekton, and as we know, we are a bit useful now, so we can actually do damage. As you guys can see, we suddenly do damage. So we're not useless anymore. That could have been a quadra kill if Nami didn't actually last hit on those 2 kills. And if that happened, I would be super duper fat right now. But unfortunately, it's 2 kills and 2 assists. Obviously, better than dying. We didn't die in that fight, so we're really good. We picked up the mid lane tower as well, which gives us more gold and opens up the map. But you know, at this point in time, we're doing really good at this point in time. So here, we're going to pick up the Zanya's Hourglass, and we're going to build towards our death cap. So here at this point, we're 12 minutes into the game, I'd say. We've hit the point of the game where we actually do damage, and we don't have to simply run from every single enemy that we see. So here, I'm just going to take the Wolves. I'm going to take the Grump. I'm going to take whatever jungle is up, of course. And I'm going to hit to the lane and see if I can pick up some CS. Singe, of course, trying to pick up CS from his own lane. Here, I'm just trying to take the CS if possible. Here, another wave for me. Just going to take up that whole wave. Why not? And checking if the skull is there. Skull is not there. It's been taken by the enemy. So I'm going to just hit over and see what kind of farm I can find. Now, mid lane obviously has Inami and Ivara. So a little bit hard to farm there. So probably I'm heading towards the Raptors. I would assume. Yes, I hit over to the Raptors. I'm gonna farm the Raptors. Like so, farming becomes really quick when you hit level 10 and you reach your fully stacked passive, because you get the AoE attack. So clearing camps like Raptors and Krugs becomes really easy. And yeah, so at this point in time, my team has made a call for the Baron. And now the reason they did this, because Wukong spawned on the opposite side of the map. But the problem here is the Twisted Fate out number 1. Number 2, we're standing on the Scuttle Vision. So they do know that this is happening. So here, I'm just going to try to stay as safe as possible. Attack whoever I can, and hopefully my team can get the Baron. Here, we actually do get the Baron, and I get the kill onto the Thresh. Here, the Renekton jumps on me, I get the kill on the Renekton. MF walks towards me for some reason, and I kill her as well. Stunned by the Twisted Fate, and I'm going to flash forward and go for the Twisted Fate as well. So here I actually get the quadra kill on the Twisted Fate, ulting for good measure. And here we get the Baron and the quadra kill. So now you can see Kayle, even before I've hit level 15, I've hit 2 items in level 10 plus. It's actually very strong. Especially when you fully stack your passive. Wukong is the only person still up for the enemy team. The AoE from my E actually causes the tower to aggro me. Here I'm trying to pick up the tower or do some damage to the tower, because Wukong, obviously with the Baron minions, a little bit hard to clear. Don't actually manage to pick up the plate, unfortunately. So we're going to actually just hit over into the enemy jungle, see what there is that we can get. Turns out that there is no red buff, there is no Krugs, I believe. So a little bit not safe anymore, because the entire enemy team has respawned. So instead I'm just going to recall, pick up the death cap, and build towards the void staff, which I have already mentioned is not the right item that you should go for, but I did go for it in this game because I haven't realized it was a bad item yet. So yeah, so here there is a fight at the dragon. Honestly, we have no tempo on the map because we all reset after the enemy team respawns. So this is pretty much a free dragon for the enemy team, and I don't really even think we should contest. So here we do actually try to contest him, but the good news is that my team is, I don't know, we're not really very ahead of the enemy team, but we're ahead enough that we actually end up winning the fight. So as you guys can see, pretty much the entire enemy team dies. We ace them, trading 5 for 1, which obviously is a trade you take any day of the week. But on the flip side, because of all that dragon shenanigans, and us all recalling, we pretty much didn't manage to use the Baron all that much, and the Baron buff is about to expire at any moment. There we go, Baron buff has expired, unfortunately. Here I'm going to take the blue buff. Now Kayle does very well with the blue buff because she is very mana hungry when she casts her spell, so having blue buff helps her to, of course, get the mana that she needs. So here I'm level 14, about halfway to level 15. So I'm just finding any farm I can anywhere to try to hit level 15. Here, I'm going to take the enemy red buff. Twisted Fate can see me, so Thresh knows I'm there. I'm going to put the red buff between me and Thresh so that the red buff can actually tank the hook for me. Then we're going to just escape. So halfway to level 15, of course. We're just trying to find ways that we can, of course, pick up any XP so that we can actually hit level 15. Void Staff completed, and as you guys know, I like to go for GA as my last item. Alright, so apologies, the video is actually pretty long, because I did spend a long time explaining what Kayle does, so sorry about that. But hopefully you guys learned from this video. So here I'm going to pick up the Wolves. Wolves is up. Going to pick up the Gromp is up. Really just want to hit that level 15. When you hit level 15, you're pretty much unstoppable as a Kayle. Especially since I'm like one item from full build now. So here there's a wave at top. I was hoping this wave would help me hit level 15. But it doesn't. I barely am not level 15. So here, the Baron is spawning, and my team wants to go for the Baron the moment it spawns. I can pretty much not even see the XP bar anymore. I'm so close to level 15. So here, I'm just attacking the Baron. Here comes the enemy team. Hooked by Thresh. Here, I'm getting caught in everything. I hit my ultimate, and I hit level 15 in the middle of the fight. Enemy team is in huge trouble. And here, I'm going for the Wukong because Wukong has a smite. But in the meantime, my backline is getting destroyed. There goes the Nami and the Varus. Here, you kill another Wukong clone. Wukong tries to hide to out there. MF with a very nice zoning ult. Manages to zone all three of us away. And pretty much we kind of lost that fight. Because like it was a 2-for-2 trade. But I do feel like we kind of lost that fight. Here, the enemy team foolishly tries to engage onto a level 15 Kayle while trying to chase a Singe. So I have no idea what the enemy team is doing there. And I get 2 free kills. Jarvan teleports in. So here we can actually go for a Baron. Obviously I'm level 15. I have a lot of damage and sustain, so I can I'm not sure if Kayle can solo the Baron, but I do believe that I can. But regardless, we can just do the Baron with me and Jarvan. Sin shows up to the party as well. We get the Baron. And at this point in time, we're really strong. Elder Dragon is coming up in roughly 40 seconds, I'd say. And enemy team still has on inhibitor, so we are in a good spot, but we haven't really won the game just yet. So here I want to make use of the Baron. I'm going to push down the bot lane here, because we do have a wave here almost crashing into the tower. And so here I'm going to, of course, finish off the tower. This gives me enough gold exactly to pick up my GA. So here I'm going to pick up GA, and then I'm going to hit over to the Elder Dragon. Of course, so here I'm at full build at level 15. You know, ult up, Zhonya's up, Baron up. Only thing down is Flash. So pretty much they're strongest a Kayle is ever going to get. So here we have the Elder Infernal Dragon up, Twisted Fate out, so he can see us at the Dragon. We haven't actually started yet, but I'm hitting around. I'm just starting it. I don't care. I am so strong now. The only thing I have to do is not get overconfident and just run straight at the enemy's faces, because that will get me killed. Anything else, if I stay safe, if I stay in the background like that, if I just kite and I'm not getting focused by people, pretty much we will just destroy anybody. Here, Renekton trying to 1v1 me, which is a very, I would say is a pretty wise choice, because if he gets onto me, it does. I am in trouble, but I do have my ult, my GA, and my stasis, so pretty much get no real chance of killing me there. So here, we get the Elder Dragon, we ace the enemy team, so obviously that is game. And we did really well on Kayle, especially considering it is our first time. So I do believe I played Kayle pretty well. So we'll see the stats here as usual. As you can see, we got an S and top 98% of kills. So thank you guys for watching the video, and goodbye.